One of the most important of the general principles of the leg lock system, and also just my approach to jiu-jitsu in general, is the principle of dilemma. Most people, when they go to into fight with their opponents, tend to create problems for their opponents. Now, problems almost always have solutions. Dilemmas, on the other hand, don't have solutions. They just have two bad outcomes that my opponent has to choose between. Whenever possible, always try to create dilemmas for your opponent rather than problems. An interesting reflection here is that when we work from the reverse Ashi position, it's extremely easy to create dilemmas. One of the most well-known was used by Gary Tonin in a spectacular fashion in one of his leg lock victories. When we work in this position, we've seen that the problems we face here are first a stability problem and then untying my opponent's defensive legs. Whenever we work here, we've seen that a good first action is to tighten up the lock, just like so, and from here start to create wedges around my opponent. This time, instead of turning across my opponent and forming the wedges, we're going to sit in a deliberately unstable position with our two legs facing out in this direction, rather than as we did for the double trouble roll, where we turned our legs across our training partner's center line with knees close together. Why? Because in truth, we're going to go down to a shoulder very soon and we'll be stable. So we're not going to focus too much on stability in this particular operation. So our first thing is our opponent locks a triangle here, is to take our opponent's legs and hike them up close to us. Now, as I hold on to one foot, I'm going to reach across and grab the other. I'm going to draw his foot over and inside my knee. That's very important. I don't want an unsupported foot. I want his foot wedged and supported by my right knee. Now I'm in a position where I can take my second arm and go over and form another wedge over both of my training partner's legs. Now I'm going to go down to a knee first. We've seen already we don't want to fall a long distance to the floor. That tends to create impact which can loosen the arrangement that I've made. So I put a hand down and the knee follows. As soon as we're stable on our knee, I take a hold of my training partner's foot and I lock into this position. Because I'm on my side, I'm completely stable now. The idea of stability is no longer an issue. If my opponent just maintains his current foot position and doesn't react to what I've done, I've locked up a figure 4 toe hold on my training partner. I can attack right here by pointing his toes in towards his tailbone, just like so. And then I take my right elbow and I pull, so that we do the same thing in the toe hold that we were learning with the heel hooks. We want to begin with a push on the toes and terminate with a pull on the heel. Only now it's going to be the elbow pulling out. So we push in, taking all the slack out of our training partner's joint. And from here, I pull with the elbow. The only way my opponent can react to this is to use his other foot to separate my hands from his. And as he pushes, my figure 4 toe hold gets compromised, and no problem, we grab the heel of the primary leg. Now we're in a position where we can control that leg, pass our arm through and around, and put a hand on our training partner's calf muscle. My elbow retracts behind me. I have both legs controlled, the principle of double trouble in operation again. My knee points towards my training partner's tailbone, and as a result, the whole body arches, and we get an extremely strong attack on our training partner's knee. Let's have a look at that whole sequence again. Starting off in the reverse Ashigarami position. First, let's tie that knot tighter. We bring everything in and hike up. Now, I reach and get a hold of my training partner's foot. Where I grip is extremely important. Don't just grab anywhere on the foot. I want to be able to go immediately into a breaking grip. That means my first knuckle of the middle finger will cover the first knuckle of the smallest toe, so that when I make the grip, you immediately dominate the end of the lever. Now, I draw the foot over my knee and wedge it on my knee. So there's a wedge underneath my opponent's leg. Now, the best examples of wedging, always wedge both sides of the limb you're trying to control. Here the wedge is underneath, now I need a wedge on top. Now that's going to be my right arm. The right arm goes over the top, and now his leg is wedged from underneath by my knee and from on top by my armpit and tricep. I'm in the perfect position now to take one foot around the corner as my hand extends. That puts my knee on the floor. As a result, I can go down to the floor in a controlled fashion that gives me the perfect braking position. If my opponent doesn't react to the first horn of the dilemma, you'll win right here. He has to react, and that creates the second horn of the dilemma. As I lose the figure 4 toe hold, I catch and lock. I transfer, arm goes around, and we make a switch into one of the strongest of the knee bar variations, the lat knee bar. We hold either calf or thigh. The most important thing is my elbow retracts behind me. That takes the slack out of the knee. If I don't take the slack out of the knee, I can move a long way forward without result, and worse still, my opponent can turn his knee inside my Ashi garami. So it's very important the elbow come back. Now when he tries to turn the knee inside the Ashi, it's very, very difficult. Notice that my legs back heel and my knee critically points forward. Now when he goes to turn the knee, it's just not happening. Both legs are controlled. The principle of double trouble in effect. Now we drive forward and we get fantastic braking pressure on the leg. One more time. Starting off on top of our training partner. We tie everything up, catch, wedge 1, wedge 2. Down to the floor in a controlled fashion, knee to the mat. Lift, tuck, and roll. First horn of the dilemma, figure 4 toe hold. He goes to kick out and reacts. Second horn of the dilemma, knee bar. Elbow back, knee forward, back heel with the triangle. When he goes to turn inside my Ashi garami, it's impossible. Now from here, pressure for the finish.